Just put some stuff down there. We have got a player here. Cool, so you've got Rhiannon first, then Alice will come after that, so there's plenty of time, so you can mix between broadcast and written stuff a bit then. So who would like to go first?
Okay, yeah. Hi there, lovely to see you. Can I just start with a question which I actually wish I wouldn't be asking you. It's about events in Liverpool Stage. Obviously I know you had 5 seasons at the club. I just think, obviously you were in camp. Just what were you thinking when you sort of saw the news that we all saw? I think it was sort of disbelief when we were beginning to find out. What was it like with you and with the rest of the squad here in camp?
Yeah, when we heard the news, it's madness, and all our thoughts and prayers go out to everybody who's been affected by it. I spent a long time at Liverpool, 5 years at Liverpool, and the men winning the Premier League is kind of, they're wanting to celebrate, and it's just been overshadowed slightly with what's happened, which is just devastating, really.
Can I just move it on now to yourself here now? You know, we've got June the 19th, an awful lot in our head with the squad announcement. Yeah. How much is it in your mind?
I think I would be lying if I wasn't thinking of the Euros, but we are here to do a job in these next 2 games, and that's all preparation for the Euros. So for us at the minute, as a group, as individuals as well, we're just focusing on preparing the best way we can. We're fighting for shirts, we're fighting to be in that squad, which is just increasing the training as well and the intensity in training. So it's really good. We're in a very good place at the minute.
How much is it a case of sort of that balance as a professional, trying to get that balance between, as you say, playing as hard as you want, get the results that you want because they're competitive matches, but also in the back of your mind making sure that you are in a position where you're fit enough to be selected on June the 19th. How tricky a balance is that?
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from for sure. Everyone in camp is fit and healthy, fit and well, and like I said, we're competing for spots at the minute. Our squad has got real good strength and depth, and you've seen that with different players being called in throughout the Nations League campaign. So we have to keep that intensity up. The way you train on the pitch is the way you take things into games, and we only have 2 more games left for us to compete as strongly as we can as preparation for the Euros. So there's no shying away from that, and you know, we've just got to give it our everything for these next 2 games.
What's needed from these last 2 games, taking into context everything that it's, you know, in one world you'd love it just be concentrating on League A, but the manager being clear from the start, it's preparation for the Euros first, but then a very, very close second is competitiveness in a League A group as well. So what is needed from these last 2 games?
I think we want to put ourselves in the best position possible to go and qualify for the World Cup as well. So we want to win both games. There's no shying away from that. We're going out there to win games, and we want to win games at the Euros. So it's the best way to start and try and stay in League A to give us the best opportunity for the next World Cup too.
Just a last couple from me, if I may. Does it matter that you haven't got a warm-up game? Because we're all saying last 2 games before the Euros, which are competitive games, and I know we're 5 weeks out now, but does it bother you there's no warm-up game?
Not really. I think camp is so close. I feel like we're constantly here, if I'm honest. No, camp is so close. There's only a couple of weeks in between. We've got camps in between that, optional camps for players to come in for 3 days, 1 week, another 3 days the next week. So the girls are going to have loads of time on the ball. It's still going to be competitive in training. I'm sure we'll play an in-house game as well. So yeah, we're quite fine about that, to be honest. And we look after each other, and we go into the Euros fighting fit.
What about the challenges you face almost on a weekly basis? You're playing your football in Spain with Real Betis. Just looking at some of the forwards you come up against, they're all highly, highly decorated, some of the best in the world. How have you been? What do you take from that experience, and how can that help you? How can that help Wales when you come to the Euros? Because you have to stop the best.
Yeah, and that's kind of how I've gone into my games for my club. I've done a lot of defending. So, yeah, I've just set myself little targets each game, and I'm sure that's what other players have been doing at their clubs as well. And like you said, I'm up against the best players in the world, and what more can you ask for? Because you're going to be up against the best in the Euros campaign too. And, you know, when people say, oh, your group's really, really tough group, we like it. We love it. There's no pressure on us. We like being the underdog at times, and you've got to beat the best to be the best. So,
just a last one from me on Betis. You know, I read an article about you explaining sort of the Betis Seville derby, bigger than Madrid derby, but the enormity of the club as a whole. Not the women, but it's the men. A huge game now coming up tomorrow against Chelsea. What's the feeling like, from what you know about the club, about this sort of major European final they've got coming up as a club?
Yeah, Betis is a huge club, and the rivalry over in Seville is absolutely massive. There's different areas of Seville where you can wear your Betis stuff out, and maybe not others. But it's a huge game, and they're on really good form at the minute. I went to one of the games a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, they're playing really well, and they seem to be a really good tight-knit group. So we'll see what the final result is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hiya. Just on the defence, you know, in League B of the Nations League, there's more of an emphasis on the attack, and perhaps what we expected. But, you know, looking back at that playoff against Ireland, this Nations League A campaign, you've looked like a really tough and tricky side to try and break down. Has it been sort of a good thing, reconnecting with that defensive side, and seeing maybe more of an attacking threat from you in the last year or so?
Yeah, we've always had that really good foundation defensively, and then when you said when we went into League B, it just gives us that opportunity to work on our attacking side. And I think now for the next couple of games, it's kind of a mixture of the two, and we're going to have opportunities in front of goal, and we've got to take them. And we'll be working on that again this week. But defensively, we've been really solid. So now we can look at higher up the pitch too.
And looking at that defence, someone who's taken to international football like a duck towards has been Maisie Davis. She's looked so impressive when she's part of that black line. What have you made for her so far, and how far do you think she can go in the Wales shirt?
I think she can go way over 100 caps for Wales, if not 200 caps. She's fantastic. She's a really good player, really good kid. Yeah, she's been excelling in training. She's really coming out of her shell, and she's just gonna grow and grow, especially in this environment that we've built here in the women's team. So I'm looking forward to seeing her in the future as well as now. So yeah, she's great.
One final one from me. It was announced around a week ago that Blackburn had withdrawn from the Championship. You know, you started your career at Blackburn.
Yeah.
They helped bring through the likes of Ella Toone and Kira Walsh. Just how sad is it to see a club of that size having to drop all the way down the pyramid?
It's really disappointing. I feel really disappointed and angry with the club that I started my career at, and I've supported my whole childhood. So I do feel really disappointed with the club, and really gutted for the staff and the players that have really put in so much work the last few years under the smallest budget that there is. I just really feel for them, and it's very disappointing, and these things shouldn't be happening in this at that level of the women's game anymore, in my opinion. Thank you.
Any more questions?
Oh, can I ask
Yeah.
one? Rhiannon, obviously Spain's a massive football nation, men's and women's. They'll know a lot about English women's football, and they probably know a lot about Wales men's football through the Gareth Bale state Real Madrid. Being there, what do you think is the perception of Spanish people in Spanish football with regards to women's football in Wales?
I taught my Welsh friends cwtch in Welsh, and every time we say, "Oh, Raza, give me a cwtch." It's quite funny, really. I think, I don't know how to answer this. I think the Spanish are so focused on their culture and how they want to play, and they know how the English league is slightly different, and we're a lot more like physical. There's a lot more physical demands in there, and they play a lot shorter in Spain than we do in England too, and Wales. And I think that the league is a lot of Spanish players. There's not many foreign players going into the league, so I think that the league can actually develop a lot more if they bring the right foreign players in to just develop it from being just a Spanish culture to maybe being a little bit more open to other things.
Yeah, and we've seen a couple of Welsh players going abroad now, like yourself. I mean, do you sort of feel a bit of an ambassador for Wales when you're playing overseas?
Yeah, I guess so. It's been fantastic for me. I've learnt a lot. I've learnt a lot about the culture, the language. It's really helped my game, my short game, by playing over there. And then I come back to camp and I feel like I'm progressed on certain things that I wanted to go away and work on over the last couple of years. So for me personally, I think it's been very good for my growth. And like you said, there's other Welsh players going around Europe playing football, and I think it's brilliant, because when you get then into an international camp and you're playing against these other European teams, it only benefits us, and we've got a little bit more knowledge on how other oppositions play.
Rhiannon, obviously a great experience for you personally, but not brilliant for the team this year, unfortunately. Does that affect whether you stay there?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm just focused on my duties with international at the minute, and the Euros. So I'm kind of just focusing on that for now. It's been a disappointing year, and the club has been. It's been very, very tough to work with the club at times, because the men's and the women's sector are completely opposite. And like I said earlier, the club is a very, very big club on the men's side, and I think it just needs a lot more developing as a whole on the women's side. And that's been part of, for me, something that I've gone over there and tried to push as much as possible as well, to bring them up to date with everything like we have over here, because in the top tier of women's football over here is fantastic, and the professionalism is fantastic, and hopefully they can learn from different things as well that I can bring.
Focusing on these two games and the Euros, you're just missing a win, aren't you, in the Nations League? You've shown already how much more competitive you are as a side compared to the last League A campaign.
Yeah.
You could do with a scalp, though, couldn't you?
Yeah, we're going for a win. We really are going for a win, and like I said earlier, the foundations now are defensively, we've been fantastic. I think we've conceded the least amount of goals in the League A, in the league that we're in at the minute, which is real credit to the whole team. And now it's just an area where the next two games we can really focus on and put a little bit more pressure on us to go and, take our chances, create as many chances as possible against top nations.
Do you think you need it, confidence-wise, for going into the Euros? Not just that you can compete, but you can beat these sides.
Yeah, I think we already have that confidence and that belief that we can beat these sides. There's games in this Nations League where we've come out with a draw or maybe a loss, and we've been really gutted even to draw against the top nation, because we think we can get a little bit more than that. And there's never any lack of belief in this team, ever. We think we can go out and beat any team that we come up against, which is fantastic. So it would be great to get a few more goals, but I don't think that's the be-all and end-all for the confidence, because we're a confidence bunch. We've got a lot of trust in each other.
Jess is back, perfectly timed return to fitness. That's always a boost.
Yeah, Jess looks after herself really well. She always has done, and a return to play, she always halves the amount of time that it's meant to take a normal person to return to play. So it's really good to have her back. Yeah. How's
Sophie doing?
Yeah, Sophie's doing really well. She's with Chelsea still at the minute. She's doing everything by the book. I think she's ahead of schedule. She's really progressing nicely. So hopefully she'll pop into camp towards the end of camp and see everybody. But it's really nice when she comes in and is around the group. But she's doing really well at the minute.
And lastly for me, Saf had such an incredible game last time out. She's certainly a larger-than-life personality. I mean, how was she fitted into the squad? And your thoughts on her in general as a person and a player?
I've got a lot of time for Saf. She's fantastic, and she's been around the group for quite a long time now. And I think that's the thing. Our squad now has got so much strength and depth, and that's why it's really hard to judge what the squad's going to be like for the Euros, because it's just really difficult. The strength and depth in the squad now is unbelievable, and that's what you want as a manager too. But Saf's fitting absolutely perfect. She had a fantastic game last time out, and everyone's taking their chances, and the manager's giving different players different chances, which is fantastic, because people need to step in if there's any injuries or anything like that. So she's been really good, and she had a fantastic game last game too.
Thanks, Raz. The best of luck.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Hi,
Rhiannon. You've got a manager that's won an awful lot of caps for Canada and played in some really, really important games. Do you think that Rhiannon's experience is helping you? Has that translated to you?
Yeah, absolutely. She's more experienced than pretty much everyone in the room. So, yeah, it's just putting that towards the players and helping the players as much as possible. And, yeah, she's leading us really well, and she's got real trust in us as a full group of players as well, which is really, really good to see. And the younger ones getting minutes. And I think it's really brought the team together, really tight-knit group of players. So, yeah, she's doing a fantastic job.
And what are the main differences with her and perhaps some other managers you've played for?
I think she really focuses on the culture of the team and getting the best out of players, and mixing things up and changing things about and really going after teams. We've never felt like we can't get after teams, but she's really given us that belief that we are good enough to go and compete against these big nations, and we do want to go out for the win. We're not just sitting back and taking a draw, and she's just given us that belief and that license to just go forward and express yourself as much as possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone? Well, Jeff, everyone, we'll bring
Thank you.
Alison shortly.
Super, thank you.
Thanks very much.
You're good with the camera, Phil?
Yeah, all good.
No props. Okay, who wants to go first?
Do you want to go first? Yeah. Alex, just how are you feeling ahead of this final camp now before Rhiannon picks the squad for the Euros?
Yeah, I think obviously it's a really competitive environment at the moment. I think it's healthy competition, but I think it's only making us better. And I think we can put in some really great performances now for these last 2 games in the Nations League.
You talk about the great performance that you've put in already. You know, 2 draws against Sweden is unbelievable, now losses as well. But now you're sort of facing a game against Denmark where you perhaps need to win to keep your hopes of staying in League A. Just how's the feeling like heading into this when you kind of need a really positive result to go your way?
Yeah, I think we're fighting with everything we've got to stay in the A-League. We know how important that will be for future qualification. So yeah, we're giving it everything we've got. I think the mentality has been the same throughout this A-League campaign, is to compete against the top nations and to beat them. We want to be winning these games, and we're not where we want to be. We're at the bottom of the table at the moment, and we know that we need results in these next 2 games to make sure that we stay.
You talk about wanting to win games. You've been so close now on a number of occasions this campaign to get one. What do you feel like needs to happen within the team or as a whole to flip that draw into a win against one of these big teams?
I mean, I think we've come a long way. I think we're now producing performances on a consistent basis against this calibre of opposition. I think we've learnt our lessons the hard way, maybe, in terms of we've been punished sometimes for mistakes, and we need to start doing that to the opposition. We need to be more clinical with our chances and make sure that we remain resilient in our defensive work as well.
And obviously everyone's got the dates of the squad announcement in mind. And Rhiannon said last week in the squad announcement she's quite clear on maybe 20 of you being in that squad. Has she hinted to anyone that if they're in or out, is she keeping her cards quite close to her chest?
Not at all, no. Nobody knows where they stand, and I think that's the best way for it to be.
And for you personally, you've made a number of appearances for Wales during this season, a good spell playing in the Championship and a really good end to the season with Durham as well. So how much have you enjoyed your football this season?
Yeah, it's been great for me. I think the change at Durham was good. I was grateful for the opportunity to go there, and the staff and the players there were great with me. They really welcomed me in and gave me an opportunity to play some, like I said, some really great minutes towards the end of the season. So yeah, it's been good. I've enjoyed playing football this year.
One final one for me. You played for Cardiff Met before you joined Charlton, and obviously they've been relegated from the top 5 of Welsh football for the first time. How sad is it one of the most successful teams in this country and one that helped kickstart your career, now being in the 2nd tier come next season? Yeah,
I had a great time when I was at Cardiff Met. I think it's probably a very different environment now to the one that I played in. But I've got very fond memories, and hopefully they can bounce back.
Thank you. If I may, it's a question I asked to Rhiannon. It's one I wish I was not asking. It's just about yesterday, the whole football family, it doesn't matter what team you support, was digesting the news that was coming from Liverpool. I know the squad were in camp here now. I just wondered what you were feeling, what you were thinking when you were with some of the other players, when you were it became clear what was going on in Liverpool yesterday.
Yeah, I think obviously it's terrible. The the scenes that took place. I think it was a trophy parade, you know, so it's an occasion that's supposed to be celebrated, and I think that nobody wanted that to happen, and it's disappointing that hopefully that didn't ruin the day, but it's definitely what people are talking about rather than the parade.
Just on the squad announcement, how much does it play on a player's mind? I know you have to be professional, go on the training pitch, when you're called onto the pitch, do the thing, but how much does it prey on your mind perhaps when you're not on the pitch either training or playing, that you know June the 19th is the day where there will be a finite amount of names who are going to Switzerland? I
think rather than seeing it as a pressure and like I said, just focusing on the 19th, I think it's just something that's driving me every day. I think I'm giving it everything I can to try and make that squad, and whatever the outcome is, then I know that I've given it absolutely everything.
What would it mean? Because we all know you're going. The team got there in Dublin. We saw the scenes there, but it's individual stories now to the 23 that get selected. What would it mean for you to be going to Switzerland, playing at a major tournament? Yeah,
it would mean everything to me. I think my career has been not, especially with Wales, you know, I've been in and out of the squad, you know, it hasn't been plain sailing, but it would make all the hard work worth it. But I'm kind of reluctant to let myself go there until I know that it's happening.
Just a little sort of update maybe perhaps on your club career. Obviously you've been playing, went on loan to Durham at the end of January from Southampton. What is the next step you're hoping now? Because I know you've not been kept on the retained list at Southampton. What is your club future hold? And perhaps, if it's not resolved, how can this summer help you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm seeing it as an opportunity. You know, I think a lot of people might find the situation stressful, but I'm trying to stay relaxed with it. I don't want to rush in and make any decisions. Nothing's finalised as of yet. I'm fully focused on the Euros, and next season will come when it does.
Alice, I know it's difficult not to get carried away and think about the summer, especially when you come into camp, and I'm sure you get a lot of information about what could happen in the summer and the do's and the don'ts. Talk us through that.
We're not actually having that many conversations about the Euros themselves, just because we have 2 must-win games, so that's fully the focus for the camp.
Must be annoying then when people like me bring it up. Because it is such a massive event, isn't it? It's hard not to see it on the horizon.
Yeah, no, of course it is, but I think these 2 games are preparation for that. So, you know, as the whole League A has been, it's been about competing against teams that are ranked higher than us, and how we do and how we perform on those stages. And I think, as we discussed earlier, you know, we've had some good results, but we want to be even better.
You've been so close in this group. Just to get that win, that would be such a statement going into this summer, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think it would be for the summer, but also it would give us a chance in the A-League. I think for us, and for me as one of the younger players, you know, it could be something really special to do back-to-back qualifications, and people might think that's way off and not the position that we're in, but, you know, we can, you know, if we can stay in the A-League, it makes our path a little bit easier for us for that Brazil World Cup. So, yeah.
Best of luck.
Any more questions?
Hi, Alice. You've played, you know, you've been on this loan with Durham, and you've seen, say, Sunderland and Newcastle also in the Championship. How women's football is, you know, a strength in the northeast. I mean, do you think that if Wales can create a legacy in the Euros and by qualifying for the next World Cup, hopefully, do you think that could be replicated in this part of the world, that you could have, say, Cardiff, Swansea, other teams competing at quite a high level ultimately?
Yeah,
that's part of what you're trying to achieve, really.
Sorry, yeah, definitely. I think we know that we have the capability now to inspire the next generation with the Euros, and I think in terms of football in Wales, we'll definitely develop further from our performances at the Euros. But I think women's football generally, you know, we saw what happened with England, and when the home nations do succeed and do well in these major tournaments, it only raises the level of the game.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
How important are these next 2 games in preparation for the Euros?
Yeah, they're huge for us. It's another opportunity for us to play against top nations. And we really want to test ourselves. There's things that we've learned from the last games that we want to put right now and prove to ourselves that we can do that. We can get the wins against these kinds of teams.
And what do you have to say to the fans going into the next two games? They're going to be there probably supporting you like they did the last, where you qualified for the Euros. How important is it to have them there and have their support?
Yeah, it's so important for us to have the fans with us. It will obviously be the last game that we play at home, so to have a big crowd there would mean a lot to us as players, and know that we have that support behind us going into a major tournament.
Thank you.
Good, thanks everyone.
Thanks,
Check
Aaron.
them out.
Thank you.
Be over Zoom on Thursday. Rhiannon will sort the details for you.
Thanks, Alice.
Cheers.